Ambassador Kate Sullivan walked into the great hall of the Galactic Council. The building was huge, with walls that stretched up so high she could barely see the top. Alien beings from dozens of worlds sat in their special chairs, each one made for their different body shapes. Some had tentacles, others had 4 arms, and a few looked like giant insects. Kate was one of only 3 humans in the entire building. She took her seat at the small table marked Earth. The table was much smaller than the others. Most aliens thought humans were not very important. They saw Earth as a place that grew, good food, and made simple things, nothing more. Kate smiled to herself. If only they knew the truth. War Marshal Vextar from the Zephyrian Empire stood up. He was tall and covered in dark scales. His yellow eyes looked at Kate with what she knew was meant to be fear. But Kate had seen much worse things than an angry lizard. The Zephyrian Empire demands that humans give up their colony on New Eden, Vextar said. His voice was deep and scary. Humans are too weak to protect such a rich world. We will take better care of it. Kate stood up slowly. She wore a simple blue dress that made her look harmless. The people of New Eden are happy where they are, she said in a calm voice. Earth has no plans to give up any of our worlds. Vexatar's eyes grew brighter with anger. Humans have no real weapons, no strong ships. You cannot stop us if we decide to take what we want. Kate nodded as if she agreed. You are right that Earth prefers peace to war. We are a simple people who just want to live quietly. The other aliens in the room made sounds that meant they agreed with Vextar. They all thought humans were weak. Kate had spent 15 years making sure they believed this lie. Far from the Galactic Council, Admiral Jake Morrison sat in a room deep under the ground on Earth. The room had no windows, but the walls showed pictures from space. Hundreds of screens displayed what was happening all across the galaxy. Jake was watching the meeting where Kate was talking to the angry aliens. She's doing good work, said Dr. Lisa Carter. She was standing next to Jake, holding a tablet computer. Lisa was the smartest person Jake had ever met. She had helped create the plan that fooled the entire galaxy. How much longer can we keep this up? Jake asked. He was 50 years old and had gray hair. He had been keeping Earth's secrets for 20 years. As long as we need to, Lisa said. The aliens still think our best ships are the ones Captain Ben Torres flies around in. They have no idea what we really have. Jake nodded and looked at another screen. It showed Captain Torres and his ship, the New Horizon. The ship looked old and slow. Its weapons seemed weak. But Jake knew the truth. Hidden under the ship's old-looking outside were systems that could destroy any alien ship in seconds. Show me the real fleet, Jake said. Lisa touched her tablet. The screens changed to show Earth's moon, but this was not the moon that aliens saw when they visited Earth. This moon was covered with huge doors that could open to let spaceships out. Inside the moon were 800 ships that could travel faster than light and carry weapons the aliens had never dreamed of. The Terra Guard is ready, Lisa said. All 847 ships can launch in 6 hours if needed. Jake looked at more screens. They showed Mars, where humans had built factories that made new types of weapons. They showed the asteroid belt, where humans had hidden more ships and built giant guns that could shoot across the solar system. They showed Jupiter, where humans had learned to turn the planet's storms into energy for their weapons. The aliens think we barely made it to our own moon, Jake said with a small smile. They don't know we've been to the edge of the galaxy and back. Dr. Carter showed Jake more pictures on her tablet. The new fighters are ready too. Project Mindbridge is working perfectly. One human pilot can now control 12 ships at the same time using only their thoughts. Jake had seen the Mindbridge pilots train. It was like watching magic. A young man or woman would sit in a special chair, close their eyes, and suddenly control a whole group of spaceships as if they were parts of their own body. On another screen, Jake watched as alien ships moved through space near Earth. The aliens thought they were being sneaky, but Jake's hidden sensors could see them from millions of miles away. The Zephyrians had been sending more and more ships to watch human space. They're getting ready for something, Jake said. Our spies in Zephyrian space agree, Lisa said. War Marshal Vextar has been meeting with his generals every day for 2 weeks. They're planning to attack one of our colonies. Jake felt his hands form fists. He had been patient for so long. Every year the aliens became more bold. They demanded more from humans. They treated Earth like a servant. Jake wanted to show them how wrong they were, but he knew the plan required more waiting. "Which colony do they want?" Jake asked. "Probably New Eden. It has the most people and the best farmland. If they take it, other alien groups will think they can take human worlds too." Back at the Galactic Council, Kate was still talking to the angry aliens. She made Earth sound weak and afraid. She talked about how humans just wanted peace. She never mentioned the weapons hidden all across the solar system. "Humans will not cause trouble," Kate said. "We know our place in the galaxy." War Marshal Vextar looked happy with this answer. He thought Kate was being smart by giving up before a fight started. "Good. Then humans will not mind when we visit New Eden to make sure everything is safe." Kate's heart beat faster, but her face did not change. Earth always welcomes visitors who come in peace. The meeting ended, and Kate walked out of the Great Hall. As soon as she was alone, she touched a small device in her ear. "Jake, are you listening?" she said quietly. "I'm here," came Jake's voice. "You did great. They still think we're harmless." "They're going to attack New Eden," Kate said. "Maybe in a few weeks." "I know. We're ready." Kate walked through the alien city toward her ship. All around her, aliens went about their daily lives. They traded goods, talked with friends, and lived peacefully. Most of them were good people who just wanted safe, happy lives for their families. Kate felt sad thinking about what was coming. For 43 years, humans had lived quietly in the galaxy. They had made friends with many alien species. They had shared food and music and stories, but the Zephyrians were going to ruin all of that. When the attack came, everything would change. The galaxy would learn that humans were not the weak, simple people they pretended to be. Kate hoped the aliens would forgive humans for the lie when they learned why it had been necessary. As Kate's ship left the alien world and headed back toward Earth, she thought about Admiral Morrison's words from their last meeting. "We gave the galaxy a chance to treat us fairly. If they choose to see kindness as weakness, they'll learn the difference the hard way." The peaceful times were almost over. Soon, the galaxy would discover what humans could really do when they stopped, holding back. Captain Ben Torres was drinking coffee on the bridge of his ship when the alarms started screaming. The New Horizon was orbiting the human colony of New Eden, doing what looked like a normal patrol. Ben had been making these trips for 5 years. The aliens who watched always saw the same thing: one small, old human ship with weak weapons. "Captain, we have multiple contacts coming out of hyperspace," said Lieutenant Emma Davis. She was young and new to Ben's crew. Like most of the crew, she did not know about the ship's hidden weapons. Only Ben and his chief engineer knew the truth. Ben looked at his screens and felt his blood turn cold. 47 Zephyrian warships had just appeared around New Eden. This was not a visit. This was an invasion. "Send a message to the colony," Ben said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Tell them to activate emergency procedures. On the planet below, 2.5 million humans were starting their normal day. Children were going to school. Adults were going to work. Families were eating breakfast together. None of them knew that death was coming from the sky." The Zephyrian ships moved into position around the planet. Their leader, War Marshal Vextar, appeared on Ben's screen. The alien's scaled face looked very pleased with himself. "Human captain," Vextar said, "your weak little ship will leave now. This world belongs to the Zephyrian Empire." Ben stood up from his chair. "This is a human colony. You have no right to be here." Vextar made a sound that might have been laughing. "Rights are for species with strong weapons. Humans have no real weapons. Leave now, or we will destroy your pathetic ship." Ben wanted to show the alien how wrong he was. Hidden inside the New Horizon were weapons that could turn all 47 Zephyrian ships into space dust. But his orders were clear. Maintain the illusion of weakness unless Earth was directly attacked. "I'm sending a message to Earth," Ben said. "They will want to discuss this." "There is nothing to discuss," Vextar said. "We are taking this world. If humans try to stop us, we will take more worlds." The screen went black. A few seconds later, the first bombs fell on New Eden. Ben watched in horror as bright flashes lit up the planet's surface. The Zephyrians were bombing the biggest cities first. Each explosion killed thousands of people. Men, women, and children who had been alive just moments before were gone forever. "Captain, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Davis. Her young face was pale with shock. Ben's hands shook as he reached for his command chair. Hidden in the chair was a small button that would activate the ship's real weapons. He could destroy every Zephyrian ship in minutes. But if he did that, the galaxy would know that humans had been lying for 43 years. "We follow our orders," Ben said, even though the words felt like poison in his mouth. "Send a distress call to Earth. Tell them New Eden is under attack." On the planet, more bombs fell. Whole city blocks disappeared in fire and smoke. The Zephyrians were not trying to capture the colony. They were trying to kill everyone on it. Ben's communication officer was crying as she listened to messages from the planet. "Captain, they're targeting schools and hospitals. They're killing children on purpose." Ben closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was hard as stone. "Send a coded message to Admiral Morrison. Tell him the Zephyrians have crossed the line." Back on Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison was in his underground command center when the message from New Eden arrived. He had been expecting this day for years, but he was not ready for how it would feel to watch millions of humans die. "How many people have we lost?" Jake asked Dr. Lisa Carter. Lisa looked at her tablet with tears in her eyes. 2.3 million in the first hour. The Zephyrians are broadcasting the attack across the galaxy. They want other species to see what happens when someone challenges them. Jake watched the screens showing New Eden. The beautiful cities where humans had built new lives were now burning ruins. Children were running through streets filled with smoke and fire. Parents were trying to protect their families from bombs that fell like rain. "Sir, Captain Torres is asking for permission to engage," said Colonel Ryan Murphy. Ryan was Jake's second in command and one of the few people who knew all of Earth's secrets. "Not yet," Jake said. The words felt like knives in his throat. "We stick to the plan." "Sir, they're murdering our people," Ryan said. "Torres could stop this right now." "And then what?" Jake asked. "One ship with secret weapons? The aliens would think we just got lucky. They need to see everything. They need to understand what they've done." On the screens, Jake watched Zephyrian soldiers land on New Eden. They were not taking prisoners. Every human they found, they killed. Old people, young people, sick people, healthy people. It did not matter. The Zephyrians wanted to send a message to the galaxy. This is what happens when you do not obey us. Dr. Carter touched Jake's arm. "Jake, I know the plan is important, but—" "The plan is everything," Jake said. "We let the galaxy see exactly who the Zephyrians really are. Then we show them who we really are." Jake turned to a woman at a computer station. "General Amy Foster, begin protocol revelation. Start with the hidden shipyards." General Foster nodded and began typing commands. All across the solar system, things that had been hidden for decades started to wake up. On the moon, giant doors began to open. On Mars, weapons factories started, building faster than ever before. In the asteroid belt, hidden guns turned toward Zephyrian space. Back near New Eden, Captain Torres received new orders from Earth. His face went white as he read them. "Lieutenant Davis," he said, "take the ship out of orbit. Set course for the edge of the system." "But, sir, the colony is beyond our help right now," Ben said. It was the hardest thing he had ever said. "We have new orders." As the New Horizon moved away from New Eden, Ben activated systems that his crew had never seen before. The ship's computers came alive with new displays and controls. Weapons that could destroy planets appeared on his screens. "Captain, what's happening?" "Lieutenant," Davis asked. "These systems, I've never seen anything like them." "You're about to learn a lot of new things," Ben said. "Computer, send a message to the Galactic Council. Maximum priority." The computer's voice was different now, smarter, more dangerous. "Ready to transmit, Captain." Ben looked at the camera that would carry his message to aliens across the galaxy. When he spoke, his voice was calm and cold. "This is Captain Ben Torres of the Earthship New Horizon. For 43 years, humanity has been a peaceful member of the galactic community. We have followed your laws. We have respected your territories. We have shown patience even when others treated us badly." Ben paused to look at the screens showing the burning cities of New Eden. Today, the Zephyrian Empire attacked our colony of New Eden without warning. They have murdered millions of innocent people, including children. They did this to show the galaxy that humans are weak and cannot defend themselves. Ben's voice got harder. They were wrong. Earth has been holding back for 43 years. We have been peaceful by choice, not because we were weak. We warned the galaxy many times that our patience had limits. Another pause. When Ben spoke again, his words would change everything. The Zephyrian Empire has crossed the line that we drew around our people. They have chosen to see our kindness as weakness. Now they will learn the difference. Earth's patience is over. Our restraint is finished. We gave the galaxy fair warning. Ben looked directly into the camera. Now humanity strikes without mercy. The message ended. Across the galaxy, aliens who had dismissed humans as harmless farmers suddenly felt very afraid. They were about to discover what humans could really do when they stopped pretending to be weak. Commander Nick Parker's fleet arrived at the heart of Zephyrian space like a storm of steel and fire. The Zephyrian home system had seemed safe just hours before. Now it was surrounded by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. All ships. "Begin attack pattern Alpha," Nick commanded through his neural link. In his mind, he could see and control 50 massive warships at once. Each ship was bigger and more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had ever built. The Zephyrian home fleet tried to respond, but they were already too late. Human ships had materialized all around them using quantum stealth technology that made them invisible until they chose to attack. Admiral Kethvar, the leader of the Zephyrian home fleet, watched in horror as his superior ships were torn apart. "In minutes." "Impossible," Kethvar whispered as his shields failed under human weapon fire. "These are just humans. They're supposed to be weak." Nick heard the alien's transmission and responded coldly. "We were never weak. We were patient. You should have learned the difference." The Retribution's main guns fired once. Admiral Kethvar's flagship, the pride of the Zephyrian Navy, broke in half and exploded. At the same time, Lieutenant Emma Davis was learning what real space combat felt like. She was controlling 12 fighter ships through her neural link, and each ship was faster and deadlier than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Reaper Squadron, engage enemy fighters," Emma said, though she was really talking to herself. All 12 ships moved as one, diving toward a group of Zephyrian fighters like hunting hawks. The Zephyrian pilots were good, but they were fighting an enemy they could not understand. Emma's ships moved in perfect coordination because they were all controlled by one mind. When one ship was threatened, the others protected it instantly. When one ship found a target, the others could strike from different angles at exactly the same moment. In 30 seconds, Emma's 12 ships had destroyed 47 Zephyrian fighters without losing a single ship. "This isn't fair," Emma said to Dr. Thompson over her radio. "They don't have any chance against us." "They had 43 years to treat us fairly," Dr. Thompson replied. "They chose to see our kindness as weakness. Now they face the consequences." On Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison was coordinating the largest military operation in galactic history. Hundreds of human ships were attacking Zephyrian positions across 12 star systems. The Aegis network was providing fire support from the solar system, sending beams of concentrated sunlight across light years to destroy Zephyrian bases. "Status report," Jake asked General Amy Foster. "Zephyrian losses are at 60% and climbing," Amy replied. "Our losses are 0 ships destroyed, 3 ships with minor damage." Jake nodded grimly. He had known the battle would go this way, but seeing it happen was still shocking. The Zephyrians had ruled 3 sectors of space for centuries. They had seemed so powerful and dangerous. Now they were being swept away like dust in a hurricane. "Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 Zephyrian worlds," reported Colonel Ryan Murphy. "Ignore them," Jake said. "We're not accepting surrenders until we have War Marshal Vextar and the other leaders who ordered the attack on New Eden." War Marshal Vextar was still on his command ship above the ruins of New Eden, but he was no longer in control of anything. Human ships had surrounded his fleet, and his officers were looking at him with fear and anger. "War Marshal," said his second-in-command, "we must surrender. The humans are destroying our entire empire." Vexatar looked at the screens showing his burning fleet and his collapsing civilization. In just 6 hours, Everything he had built over decades was falling apart. "How did we not see this?" Vexitar asked. "How did they hide so much from us?" "Sir, our intelligence reports are coming in," said his communications officer. "The humans have been building their real fleet for over 40 years. Everything we saw before was just for show. Their real ships are hidden inside moons and asteroids across dozens of systems." Vexitar felt sick. He had led his people into a war against an enemy that could have destroyed them at any time over the past 4 decades. The humans had been playing with them, letting them think they were strong while building weapons that made Zephyrian technology look like children's toys. "Sir, the human fleet commander is requesting to speak with you," the communications officer said. "Put him through," Vexitar said. He needed to see the face of the being who had destroyed his empire. Commander Nick Parker appeared on Vexitar's screen. The human looked young and calm, as if destroying an entire interstellar empire was just another day at work. "War Marshal Vexitar," Nick said politely. "I am Commander Parker of the Earth Defense Force. You are now my prisoner." "I demand to speak to your superior," Vexitar said, trying to sound like he still had some power. "You already spoke to my superior," Nick replied. 43 years ago, humanity joined the Galactic Council and promised to be peaceful neighbors. You chose to respond to our friendship with murder." Vexitar's ship shuddered as human tractor's beams grabbed it. He was being pulled toward one of the massive human warships like a helpless insect. "Your ship and your life are now property of Earth," Nick continued. "You will be taken to Earth to stand trial for the murder of 2.3 million human colonists." The screen went black. Vexitar sat in his chair and realized that his war was over. He had lasted 6 hours against an enemy he had thought was weak. Across the galaxy, other alien species were watching the destruction of the Zephyrian Empire with growing terror. The species that had seemed strong enough to threaten entire sectors was being crushed by humans who had pretended to be harmless farmers. President Ziktar of the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting with his advisors. "How do we respond to this?" he asked. "The humans have just proved they could destroy any of us whenever they wanted to." "Perhaps we should be grateful they didn't," suggested his military advisor. "They could have taken over the galaxy decades ago. Instead, they chose to live peacefully until they were attacked. But now they've shown their true power," Ziktar said. "What's to stop them from deciding they want to rule us all?" On Earth, Admiral Morrison was asking himself the same question. The easy military victory was only the beginning. Now humanity had to decide what to do with the power they had revealed. "Jake, we need to talk about the next phase," Dr. Lisa Carter said. "Destroying the Zephyrian military was the easy part. Now comes the hard question. What do we do with an empire?" Jake looked at the screens, showing dozens of Zephyrian worlds that were now defenseless. Billions of alien civilians were looking up at the sky, wondering if human ships would come to conquer them. "We take control of their government and their military," Jake said, "but we leave their people alone. We're not conquerors. We're just making sure no one else makes the mistake of thinking they can murder humans without consequences." Captain Ben Torres was bringing his ship back toward New Eden, where the fires were finally dying down. The colony that had been home to 2.5 million humans was now a graveyard. The attack had lasted only 4 hours, but it had changed the galaxy forever. "Captain," Lieutenant Davis said, "do you think we did the right thing? I mean, we could have stopped this attack before it started." Ben looked at the ruined cities on the planet below. "Maybe we could have, but then the next time someone threatened humans, we would have had to reveal our strength anyway. At least, now, the galaxy knows the price of attacking us." Emma nodded, but Ben could see she was troubled. "It just seems like we let millions of people die to make a point." "We let millions of people die because the Zephyrians chose to be murderers," Ben corrected her. "The blame for New Eden belongs to them, not to us." As the human fleet completed its victory over the Zephyrian Empire, aliens across the galaxy were learning a new truth. Humanity had never been weak. They had been choosing to be peaceful. Now that the choice had been taken away from them, the galaxy was seeing what humans could really do when they stopped holding back. The age of human restraint was over. The age of human dominance had begun. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in his command center and watched as humanity dropped 43 years of lies. All across the solar system, hidden doors were opening. secret shipyards were revealing themselves. Weapons that aliens had never imagined were powering up for the first time. "Show them everything," Jake said to Dr. Lisa Carter. "I want every alien government to see exactly what they've been living next to." Lisa touched her tablet, and the moon's surface began to change. Giant sections of what looked like rock and dust slid away like doors. Underneath was metal and glass, and lights. The aliens watching from their spy satellites could not believe what they were seeing. "The Terragard shipyard is fully revealed," announced General Amy Foster. "All 847 ships are ready to launch." Ships began rising from the moon like angry metal birds. They were huge, much bigger than any spaceship the aliens had ever seen. Each ship had weapons that could destroy cities and shields that could stop any alien attack. But the most shocking thing was how many ships there were. "How many ships do the Zephyrians have in their entire empire?" Jake asked. "About 400, Lisa answered. "We have more than twice that number just in our main fleet." Jake nodded. "What about the other projects?" "Project Mindbridge is ready. We have 12,000 fighters that can be controlled by 300 pilots using neural links. Each pilot can control 40 ships with their thoughts alone." On screens around the command center, Jake watched as the fighter ships launched from hidden bases on Mars. They moved in perfect formation, like schools of fish swimming through space. The alien spy satellites that were watching could see that the ships moved too perfectly to have individual pilots. "The Aegis Defense Network is online," reported Colonel Ryan Murphy. "All solar collection stations are feeding power to the main guns." Jake smiled for the first time in days. The Aegis Network was his favorite project. Humans had built huge collectors around the sun that turned sunlight into energy. That energy powered weapons that could shoot across light years of space with perfect accuracy. "Show the galaxy what the Aegis can do," Jake said. "Find an empty Zephyrian system and remove an asteroid." Ryan typed commands into his computer. Far from Earth, a beam of pure energy reached across space and touched a small asteroid near a Zephyrian military base. The asteroid simply disappeared, turned into atoms in a fraction of a second. "Message sent," Ryan said with satisfaction. On the alien worlds that were watching Earth's revelation, panic was starting to spread. Government leaders who had dismissed humans as primitive farmers were calling emergency meetings. Military commanders who had thought human ships were weak were looking at their own fleets and realizing they were terribly outmatched. In Zephyrian space, War Marshal Vextar was in his command ship above the burning ruins of New Eden when his communications officer brought him bad news. "Sir, our spy satellites near Earth are sending impossible readings," the officer said. "The humans appear to have a fleet of over 800 capital ships." Vextar's yellow eyes narrowed. "That's not possible. We've been watching them for decades. They have maybe 20 ships total." "Sir, you need to see this." The officer showed Vextar pictures from their spy satellites. The images showed Earth's moon opening like a flower to reveal the biggest shipyard anyone had ever seen. Ship after ship was emerging from hidden bays inside the moon itself. "This must be some kind of trick," Vextar said. But his voice was not as confident as before. "Sir, we're also detecting massive energy signatures from across the human solar system. They have weapons installations on every planet and major asteroid." Vextar looked at the images again. The ships rising from the moon were clearly much more advanced than anything humans had shown before. Their hulls were made of materials he did not recognize. Their weapons were designs he had never seen. "Get me the fleet commanders," Vextar ordered. "If the humans want a fight, we'll give them one." But even as he spoke, Vextar felt doubt growing in his mind. The humans had hidden all of this for 43 years. What else had they been hiding? Back on Earth, Commander Nick Parker was preparing to lead the first attack wave against Zephyrian space. Nick was 35 years old and had been training for this day since he was 18. He had never flown in a real battle, but he had spent years practicing in secret simulators. "All ships, report ready," Nick announced over his radio. "Terragard Alpha Wing, prepare for hyperspace jump." Nick's ship was called the Retribution. It was over a mile long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. But Nick was not just controlling one ship. Through his neural link, he was connected to 49 other ships in his wing. He could see through all their sensors and fire all their weapons as if they were parts of his own body. Jump in, 3, 2, 1, mark. 50 human ships disappeared from space near Earth and reappeared near the first Zephyrian system. The local Zephyrian garrison had 12 ships on patrol. They had no idea what was about to happen to them. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Emma Davis was sitting in a special chair on the New Horizon. Captain Torres had finally told her the truth about their ship and about humanity's real capabilities. Now, she was learning to use the neural interface that would let her control multiple fighter ships. "Remember, Lieutenant," said Dr. Alex Thompson, the scientist who had invented the mind bridge system. "The ships are extensions of your body now. Don't think about controlling them. Just think about what you want them to do." Emma closed her eyes and felt her mind expand. Suddenly, she could see through the sensors of 12 fighter ships that were launching from hidden bays on the New Horizon. She could feel their engines as if they were her muscles. She could aim their weapons as if they were her hands. "This is incredible," Emma whispered. "I can feel all of them at once." "Now you understand why the aliens never stood a chance," Dr. Thompson said. "One trained human pilot is worth 50 alien pilots." In the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Kate Sullivan was watching the emergency session that had been called after Earth's revelation. Alien representatives from dozens of worlds were shouting at each other in panic. "Order! Order!" called the council president, a tall blue alien named Ziktar. "We must discuss this calmly." "Calmly," screamed the representative from the Corvin Federation. "The humans have been lying to us for 43 years. They have a fleet that could conquer the entire galaxy. We don't know their intentions," said the representative from the Delian Republic. "Perhaps they can be reasoned with." Kate stood up slowly. The arguing aliens all turned to look at her. For the first time in 15 years, they were looking at her with fear instead of dismissal. "Honored representatives," Kate said in her calm, diplomatic voice, "humanity has no desire to conquer anyone. We have been peaceful members of this community for 4 decades. "Then why did you lie to us?" demanded the Corvin representative. Kate's face became hard. "Because we learned long ago that in this galaxy, showing strength invites attack. We hoped that by appearing weak, we could live in peace. The Zephyrian attack on New Eden has proved us wrong." "What are your government's intentions now?" asked President Ziktar. Kate looked around the room at all the alien faces watching her. "Earth's intentions are simple. We will defend our people. We will punish those who attack us, and we will make sure that no one else makes the mistake of thinking human kindness is human weakness." The room fell silent. Every alien in the chamber was beginning to understand that the balance of power in the galaxy had just changed forever. On his command ship above New Eden, War Marshal Vextar received reports that made his blood freeze. Human ships had appeared in 3 Zephyrian systems simultaneously. In each system, the local defense fleets had been destroyed in minutes. The humans were not just attacking, they were winning easily. "How is this possible?" Vextar demanded. "Our ships are the best in the galaxy." "Sir," said his tactical officer, "the human ships appear to use technologies we've never seen. Their weapons cut through our shields like they weren't there. Their armor stops our best shots without damage." Vextar looked at the screens showing his burning empire and realized he had made the biggest mistake in Zephyrian history. He had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humanity stopped holding back. 6 months after the Zephyrian attack on New Eden, the galaxy was a very different place. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in his new office in the Galactic Council building, which had been moved from its old location to Earth. Through his window, he could see alien ships landing at the spaceport below. They came to Earth now not as equals, but as subjects seeking permission. Jake was no longer just Admiral Morrison. The reformed Galactic Council had given him a new title, Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces. It was a fancy way of saying that Earth now controlled the military power of dozens of worlds. "The morning report, sir," said Colonel Ryan Murphy, bringing Jake a tablet computer. Ryan had been promoted to general after the war, but he still preferred to handle Jake's daily briefings personally. Jake looked at the reports from across the galaxy. Former Zephyrian worlds were being governed by human administrators, Alien species that had once threatened their neighbors were now asking Earth for permission before they moved their military ships. The Pax Humana, as the alien press had started calling it, was keeping the galaxy more peaceful than it had been in centuries. But peace through fear was not the same as real peace. "Any problems today?" Jake asked. "3 minor incidents," Ryan replied. "The Corvin Federation tried to send warships to their border without filing the proper requests. We reminded them of the new protocols." "How did we remind them?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "Commander Parker took a squadron of ships and disabled their fleet. No casualties, but their ships are dead in space until they agree to follow the rules." Jake nodded. This was how problems were solved now. Humanity had the strongest military in the galaxy, so when other species broke the rules, human ships appeared to enforce them. It worked, but Jake sometimes wondered if they were protecting the galaxy or controlling it. Ambassador Kate Sullivan entered the office. She was now Secretary General of the Galactic Council, the highest civilian position in galactic government. Like Jake, she had gained power she had never wanted. "How are our subjects today?" Jake asked with a small, bitter smile. "They're not our subjects," Kate corrected him. "They're our responsibility." "Is there a difference?" Kate sat down across from Jake's desk. "The Delian Republic wants to expand their mining operations into the Kaldor system. The Falari Union is asking permission to increase their defense fleet by 12 ships. The Merchants Guild wants to establish new trade routes through former Zephyrian space. And they're all asking us because they know we'll destroy them if they just do what they want," Jake said. Kate sighed. "Yes. But Jake, look at the results. There haven't been any major wars since we took control. Trade is up 40% across the galaxy. Crime rates are down on every world. Because everyone is afraid of us. Because everyone knows there are consequences for bad behavior." Jake looked out his window again. An alien family was walking through the park below his office. The children were playing while their parents watched with relaxed faces. They felt safe on Earth, safer than they had felt on their own worlds. "Sometimes I wonder if we made the right choice," Jake said. "The Zephyrians gave us no choice," Kate reminded him. "They murdered 2.3 million innocent people. I'm not talking about fighting back. I'm talking about what we became afterward." In the city below, Captain Ben Torres was walking through the memorial park that had been built on the site where New Eden's government building once stood. The planet had been rebuilt, but it would never be the same. 2.3 million graves were stark reminders of the price of the galaxy's new peace. Dr. Lisa Carter was with him, reviewing the latest reports from human colonies across the galaxy. "How are the other colonies adjusting to our new status?" Ben asked. "Better than I expected," Lisa replied. "The colonists feel safer knowing that Earth has the power to protect them, but some of them are worried about what we're becoming." "What do you mean?" "They're afraid we're turning into the thing we destroyed. The Zephyrians ruled through fear and superior military power. Now we rule through fear and superior military power." Ben stopped walking and looked at one of the memorial stones. It had the name of a 7-year-old girl who had died in the attack. "The difference is that we don't murder children to make political points." "No, we don't," Lisa agreed. "But we do disable entire fleets when governments don't ask our permission before moving their ships. We do station our warships above worlds to remind their leaders who's really in charge." Ben was quiet for a moment. "Do you think we should have handled things differently?" "I don't know. Maybe there was no right way to handle this. The moment we revealed our true strength, everything changed. The galaxy couldn't go back to treating us as equals after seeing what we could really do." Across the galaxy, Lieutenant Emma Davis was patrolling the border between human space and the territory of the Altarian Confederacy. She was now Captain Davis, commanding her own ship and squadron. Through her neural link, she could control 15 ships at once, making her squadron more powerful than most alien fleets. "Captain, we're getting a distress signal from an Altarian merchant ship," reported her communications officer. "What's their problem?" Emma asked. "Pirates, ma'am. 3 ships attacking them near the Vega system." Emma activated her neural link and felt her consciousness expand into her squadron. 15 ships moved as one mind toward the Altarian merchant vessel. The pirates were members of a species called the Rakari. They had been causing trouble for months, attacking merchant ships and raiding small colonies. But they were careful to only attack non-human targets, hoping that Earth wouldn't care about alien problems. They were wrong. Emma's ships appeared around the pirates without warning. The Rakari vessels were fast and well-armed, but they had no chance against human technology and neural-linked coordination. "Rakari ships, this is Captain Davis of the Earth Defense Force," Emma broadcast. "You will surrender immediately or be destroyed." The lead pirate ship tried to run. Emma's ships followed easily, their quantum drives making them faster than anything the pirates could field. Within minutes, all 3 pirate ships were disabled and their crews captured. "Thank you, human captain," said the Altarian merchant. "You saved our lives." Emma felt good about helping innocent people, but she also felt the weight of what she represented. The aliens thanked her not just for saving them, but for being part of the force that kept the galaxy in line. Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison was meeting with representatives from several alien governments. They had come to ask for Earth's help, with various problems. But Jake knew they had really come to make sure they stayed on humanity's good side. "The Corvin Federation is having problems with rebel groups in their outer colonies," explained Ambassador Feltar. "We request Earth's assistance in restoring order." Jake looked at the alien carefully. "Are these rebels fighting for reasonable goals, or are they just criminals?" "They want independence from our government," Feltar admitted. "But our laws clearly state that colonies cannot simply declare independence." "Maybe your laws are wrong," Jake said. "Maybe people should have the right to govern themselves." Feltar looked shocked. "But Supreme Commander, if we allow one colony to leave, others might try to follow." "And would that be a bad thing?" Jake asked. "If people don't want to be part of your government, why should they be forced to stay?" The alien ambassador had no good answer. Jake was beginning to realize that Earth's power gave him the ability to reshape the galaxy's politics. The question was whether he should use that power. "I'll send a team to investigate the situation," Jake said finally. "If your colonies have legitimate grievances, you'll need to address them. Earth won't help governments oppress their own people." After the aliens left, Kate Sullivan came to see Jake. "Word is spreading that you're using our power to interfere with internal alien politics," she said. "Is that a problem?" Jake asked. "Some of our own people think it is. They say we should focus on protecting human interests, not fixing the galaxy's problems." Jake thought about this. "Kate, what's the point of having all this power if we don't use it to make things better? The point is survival. The Zephyrians attacked us because they thought we were weak. If we start dictating internal policies to every government in the galaxy, some of them might decide we've become the enemy. Then maybe they need to learn the same lesson the Zephyrians learned." Kate looked worried. "Jake, listen to yourself. You're talking about conquering people for their own good. That's what every tyrant in history has said." Jake was quiet for a long moment. "Then what should we do? Ignore suffering because it's not our problem?" "I don't know," Kate admitted. "But we need to be careful. The line between protector and oppressor is thinner than we think." That night, Jake stood on his balcony and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were patrolling space that had never seen Earth vessels before the war. Human. Administrators were governing worlds full of aliens who spoke languages that humans were still learning. Human power was reshaping a galaxy that had existed long before Earth had even discovered fire. Jake's communication device buzzed. It was a message from the edge of human space, where first contact protocols were being established with a newly discovered alien species.